Hello and Allahu Akbar, the Baha'i greeting, God is most glorious. To all the people on the planet, the Baha'is, particularly the Americans, in the last year, during the last year and this year particularly, I have been watching American politics, particularly the emergence of Mitt Romney, the Republican, and the phenomenon of the Mr. Barack Obama, the president. Now and then I've been asked questions. Many times that people tell me you're an Iranian origin and that they had seen many other Iranians. They all seem to be very smart people. How from such a smart people, individuals, such a regime, like Iranian regime, can come out? That's so amazing to them that this is the product of the collective will of the Iranian to have this regime. And I had a customer this year sometimes, and he was amazed as an American that how would Americans, so many white people, so-called, to have elected Barack Obama. Again, so-called black American. How could majority of the people do that? Aren't there anybody else? So I'm trying to put these two together and create some kind of an answer as why these things is happening in the society sometimes. At the very outset, I have to say I am a Baha'i, as a Baha'i, as we are ordered and personally agreed and accepted, that as a Baha'i we do not involve ourselves in politics. Simply because politics of any nation, any region, any city is regional. It covers only a certain group of people. And secondly, this politics and the policies and the politicians of the world, they have set their ideas to be working against each other, not harmonizing. So we as a Baha'i, we have a universal visions. We can't see any ideology of one country to be sustainable, to last long if it is built to harm the other people, or at least not to address the other people's needs, just their own. And because of that, we do not get inside politics. So to us, any politicians, anybody outside of the Baha'i faith, without having a vision of the Baha'i faith and Baha'u'llah, is simply a regional, even if it is truth, it's a regional truth. It's not, all embracing and all encompassing ideas around the world. So that's why we don't. So here, I'm not tonight taking side, God forbid, with Democrats or Republican or any other politics in the world. However, as a philosopher, as a scientist, we Baha'is are told to know what's going on in the world and be able to establish the truth. So the politics as a science, as a branch of knowledge, sure, all the Baha'is, they could have studied and they could know it and they can explain it. I'm one of them. So, in order to explain this philosophical, let's say, insight over this issue, that ironically both Iranians and Americans are dealing with, as why they have this kind of governments, does not seem to represent the majority of the people. How would they emerge and appear? So I'm going to discuss this matter of individual and collective. Collective is a reference to the society. I have studied other religions. I don't know if there was any references between the relationship between the individual and collectives in any other religions. That's for you to study, but being an Iranian background, I know a bit that in Islam, this has been established somewhat in Quran, that God says if you kill one person as if you've killed the whole world, all the humanity. It's referring that humanity is all one soul. The Sufis, which they emerged later on because of the lack of guardianship in Islam, or understanding of the guardianship, they took this matter so deep and big philosophically that they thought the whole universe collectively is actually God. The idea that I heard from the American astronomer, he was talking on TV, Carl Sagan. But in the Baha'i faith, this issue of collective and individual have been really broadened, explained deeply, and has taken as one of the prime directive. Actually, I've spoken about prime directive before to you, but this is one of the prime directive, this understanding that we are all one. And how would that work? Baha'u'llah has many references to that. He says we're all the leaf of one branch, and or the fruits of one tree. So many areas that the society as a whole is a biological being, not known to the individuals, but actually society, humanity as a whole itself is a biological being. This is very deep. So in this issue, based on this philosophy, Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i faith, which is revelation or religion, if you like to call it, is based on science and logic. So much so that Abdu'l-Baha says if the religion is outside of the science or logic, it cannot be explained. He says it's mere imaginations. It's all imaginations. The difference with the truth and imagination is that imaginations of a word of a person that cannot be examined, so we just trust it. Whereas the truth can be trusted, can be examined, put in practice to see if it works everywhere in the world. And Baha'i faith is not imagination, it's the truth, it's a practical matter. So, let's look at the body of us, our body, my body. I don't know how many number of cells is in my body. Could we say all these cells in my body, are they aware of a collective called me? These cells in my fingers, in my brain even, in my eyes, in my body, are they aware? They are put together in a collective called me, the Abbas? No. Of course they're not. They totally lack the understanding of it. An individual cell lacks the understanding to even know anything. How could they understand or comprehend any of it? It is the same way. It is the same way that we human being, many of us, are not aware of what the collective is doing. This Obama is the result of a collective. But the individual Americans, they're not aware. Why is it happening? So, we'll discuss this. It is clearly within this relationship of individual and collective, the individuals are not aware, as I said, of what the collective is doing and why is he there. Very difficult for the individual, okay? And the fact that collective is stronger, is much bigger than the individual. Many of our individual cells dies and go away, but my body stays, 70 years maybe. So as humanity has been existing, God knows, so many years, millions of years. Whereas many humans, they die and go and come back. But humanity itself, it seems like an organic being that God is interested in him. And he's trying in the Baha'i faith, for the first time, Baha'u'llah is drawing our attention to understand what our togetherness can make. It could be positive or it could be negative. It depends under what basis and what formula those things are put together. Very important. If all the cells of my body are on this table exactly the same amount, they cannot be called Abbas. Even if my hands and legs and organs are put on the table, that again cannot be me. Me, I, myself, am not just the collections of all the cells, but I am a formula, a possibility of the nature by which all these cells have come together to make me. We as a human being, we do a lot of collectives. We call them the societies. If they're put together, properly, in relevance to the truth, with a relevance to the facts, if we know what the fact is, then that society would actually end up serving the individuals. And if they're not put together, or they're put together improperly, the software is corrupted, then the society will actually harm the individual comprising it. It's exactly like a computer. If it has a bad software, get two identical computer, install a Windows, I don't know what window we have right now, 2007 or something, or put an MS-DOS on it. You can. The operations are enormously different. Or put a window with a lot of virus in it. This window would be a corrupted window. If it is put on a computer, keep crashing, and eventually destroys even the hardware. So, and this is what we see in Iran. In Iran we see individual Iranians are smart. But the way they are put together, they're using Islamic software. They used an Islamic software, an absolutely outdated software, an operation program that was successful for 1500 years in the village of Mecca and Medina by our standard. It was successful. But 1500 years passed. If you want to bring that one right now, today, to address our needs today, just compare our houses and our cities and our population to those of those days, and you can simply see that this software is not going to work. So, it doesn't matter what kind of election is there. You apply democracy, anything you want. 100 of times, if you do that, It will not work. I've said this before. If people are all -1 in understanding, if 100 of them get together, they create a -100% wrong collective. Democracy fails right away. But if people are on the plus side, they're just a little bit smart. 1 + 1 if they are. If 100 of them get together, they create a 100% good society. So, Canadian society, Swedish society, English or Australian, for a large scale, even American society, nowadays they're going down, but they are much better. The decisions that they make as a government, as a society, is much better than the individual. Government of Canada is much more compassionate, much more considerate than actual individual Canadians are. Their tolerance is immense because everybody added something positive, and now we have a huge positive force. It's called the Government of Canada. And it doesn't matter which party is in there. It's all of them is always there. You can see this in the US. Nowadays there are some questions, but definitely before the Second World War, I mean, even around the World War II, you could see it. There was a very powerful, nation serving the individuals. In Iran, the story is the other way around. Individuals are smart, but the government is not. So, what they're voting in the democracy of Iranian, or the operation system, is back 1500 years ago. They end up a government that is far ignorant and oblivious than the actual individual Iranian. This is the problem they have. So, the collective of Americans is a collective, just like my body, which is the collective of all these individual cells. Because the American society has come together based on a certain formula that I'm going to outline here, has created a better society. I've outlined a few things. For example, I'm just comparing it with other nations. The most outstanding things about the American society, as President Obama mentioned in his election night, that is the nation of the nations. How many people are in the world, they're fighting right now, killing each other because of the differences of the religion they have, or because of their ethnicities. For God's sake, in Rwanda, the people of Rwanda, Houthis and I don't know, the other one, they killed each other. They were both blacks, same country, but they were different ethnicity they were claiming to be. That's not happening in the United States. Muslims and blacks and Spanish, they're all working together, marrying with each other, creating families of different religions, of different backgrounds. Still in England, there's a problem between Protestants and Catholics. That's not the situation in the US. There is, but it's not as bad at all. So all this conflicting agencies that in the world is causing war, it actually exists in the United States and is put together in such a way that's creating peace, not war. In the States, number 2 criteria is that their religion is different from their politics. Politicians understood well that religion cannot be applied to the society anymore. It has receded. Its power no longer can exist in the society, but it might exist in the family as a personal belief. And they were right about that. The main things about the democracy of the United States is number 3, that there are two opposite forces. Simply the elections, mere elections of one party system does not bring democracy and freedom for the individuals. It's been proven that democracy in Soviet Union and other, communist countries did not work. In US, these two opposite forces, they exist side by side, which really is the fabric of the universe. Quran says, everything in this universe from God down is made out of two things. Things you know, things you do not know. Well then, if that is the case, democracy, the country, has to have those two opposite elements within them. Ironically, Muslims have not understood this at all, but it's working in the United States. Number 4, one of the really unique things about the United States, definitely, I say definitely, look at the statistics, is the nation that has helped the other nations more than any other nations. There's no nation in comparison with the people of the United States and the government of the United States that actually helped the planets, the people. Still they do. Their foreign aid is colossal. So, number 5, they had serious impact on creating freedom, you want to call it, democracy, all around the world. They've been role models for a lot of people in the world to learn from them to create democracy. This is why everybody wants to become an American. For that matter, Australian and Canadians included. So, this is what Baha'u'llah says, that the banner of the peace will be raised by North Americans. If it wasn't them, the transition in South Africa would not be as peaceful, thanks to Mr. Clinton. If it wasn't them, Korea, which is a big power right now, would not be liberated and freed from the communists at the time. Even their impact in Vietnam after they've left created Vietnam united and much more powerful than it was previously. Everywhere. They have done so many things, Americans as a country, as a collective. Another big things is in America and other Western countries that actually there is a recognition of the right of the female. Men and women in the United States of America have definitely equal power, equal opportunities. Door is open for anything, male and female, which is lacking in many places. And number 7, it's not a communist country, it's not a socialist country, but up until recent year, you would say that there was a good distribution of wealth in the United States, that there were no, people were not starving. People always had the minimum of life. They could improve a lot more when compared to Canada and Australia, but they were pretty good, again, compared to many places in the world. Number 8 is the expression of the, the freedom of expression. Again, is lacking in many places, not in the US. And essentially, number 9 is that it's a society that works based on science and logic. And you can see in this nation, really, there is no racism as such, as it is depicted. I called Barack Obama the accidental president first time, but the second time you could see that this president is an actual president, is an actual will of the people. So American as a society again, as a collective, is absolutely exonerated in the court of the history, in the court of God, and I am the witness. That cannot be called, should not be called, a racist society based on the matter of color or religion or ethnicity. Election of Obama is the exoneration of all these accusations. Americans are not. They're simply much smarter than to look at the color or this and that. So these few points that I brought is some of the fabric or the software or the operation system that this nation has been put together. Such nation then is smarter than the individuals. The whole nation knows what to do. That is why Barack Obama comes out of it. There are a million good things that happens, honestly, because of this election, because of this American election. I'm just going to tell you a couple of them. There's not much time here. Definitely, I believe, my personal observation has been, I went to Egypt to examine this fact, that people of the North Africa and the Muslim country, they had Osama bin Laden as their role model, as a point to become him when they get pissed off, when they're forced, when they're transgressed. That was the thing to be. They, this is not true, but they think Barack Obama is actually a Muslim. If it is a belief in the United States, 20 to 30%, in Egypt and Libya it's probably 80%. People, they say, well, he's a Muslim. I assure you, Barack Obama is not a Muslim. You have to know, when you were raised by your mother and your father let go of you, and your grandfather and grandmother raises you and they were white and sent you to university, there's no way for you to have any religion as such. So I don't believe he's Christian even as such, but this man is not a Muslim. Really, there's a big mistake to think that way. But he does have sentiment. He's a kind individual. He has sentiment for all the poor people in the world. And I don't think to him it does matter. It doesn't matter if it is really North Korea or Somalia. If they're poor and they're, deprived, he cares for that. He does. So, what did an American do? American collective, had to be thinking what to do with Osama bin Laden. They, the collective, elected and brought up Barack Obama to show to the Muslims of the world, to the youth, that you don't need to look to be Osama bin Laden. Be like Barack Hussein Obama if you think he's a Muslim. At least, clearly, he's from your area. Half of him anyways. So, the plan, destruction, turned into plan, take over. Why destroy America and Western civilization? Try to be like them. Try to take over. And that is, in my opinion, was the insight, philosophical reason that why all this uprising happened from Tunisia and Morocco, Libya, Algeria, and it continues to all the Muslim countries, like to Syria, and it will go engulf the Muslim countries. It is all because of the inspiration that they have taken from American collective by bringing President Obama. See how beautifully American collective got rid of the legend of Osama bin Laden in the heart of the Muslims by bringing Obama. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thinking. What a remedy. It seems the individual self, they have no idea what the collective is doing. This collective collective is way, way, way more intellectual. If it is put together, as I brought 9 reasons for you, that it is. So, the other thing that, in my opinion, Barack Obama is bringing and brought by American collective. I'm not crediting him. I'm crediting the American public. How many black people I had seen, myself and I have spoken to, they always felt in the United States are trapped by the white people. There is no way that they can get anywhere. Racism was, the only thing was just a tunnel vision in front of them. That it is so difficult for him to get anywhere. Because they have this delusions that the white people are against them. So when Barack Obama comes to the point and fulfills the dream of Martin Luther King, which is the dream of the black people in America, now clearly the door is opened. Now all these black people and minority, what, about 100 million of them now? They all know they are Americans. If they want to, the door is open. This will bring down the crimes, the oppression, and all the negativity which was a burden over the American society from these minorities. Now it will turn around. Again, the collective of American society thoughtfully thinking how to solve the problem. You see? Now, mechanizing the phenomenon of Barack Obama is very amazing. Who mechanized this? What is the force? How do we explain it exactly what happened? How did he come up? Was it an accident? No. It's just more blacks, more minorities have to step in his shoe and they will automatically get elected. Automatically. There's no stoppage. So, when I compare American society to the principles of God, which is called Baha'i revelation today, I will give them a passing mark. This society has passed to be saved, to be continuing to live and exist, whereas others in the world, they are doomed to die. Many of them. They're all the Neanderthals that are going to go. They're not going to survive. Because the pace to live in this planet is set, the standard is set by the people of the North America, by these 5 countries. The leaders, United Kingdom, the mother, Canada, Australia, the big brother, Uncle Sam, by Ireland, which is actually the part of the collective of the United Kingdom, all the 4 nations there, Ireland, Scotland, and England, and Wales, the 4th component, and if there are others I'm missing. And from them they branches these countries. They have get a passing mark. Their collective is smarter than the individual. Democracy works them. Corporation is not bankrupt. But in Iran, Saudi Arabia, I don't know, many other places, they're all going to go down. There's no way. Now I talk a little bit about collective. Let's talk about the individuals. While I talked about the society as a collective that carries a operation system, such as Windows on a computer, an individual is also a collective of cells and works in the same way. It works through a collective that God has made, and the operational system that largely by the very individual as he grows up, he installs that on his brain. We have seen Christians, fundamentalists, Muslim fundamentalists, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, and thousands of others all over the world. So many sects in India. When they're fundamentalists and they're staunch Muslims or Christians, you can see that the whole work of their life circumambulates, goes around this central core of their belief and their characters. And that's why they become all weird people, if you look at them. Real religious people, they're very weird. And their weirdness shows up when they come into society. When they come under the light and people look at them, they see them. The weirdness of Mr. Ahmadinejad, that in one of the talks he was saying that as he entered the United Nations, he felt the halo of some kind of a spiritual light or something around his head. You know, I don't know what kind of a drug he was hallucinating on. Is very much similar, in my opinion, to that of the Mr. Murdoch and Akin, or Akin, whatever his name is. That this gentleman, I don't know which book is he reading, but he came and said that raping is actually a gift of God. God intended that to happen because that's the only way that child could come out. That is seriously absurd. Let me shed a little light on that. The child that is forming at any time, in any womb, it is the plan of God. That's how the sperm, where it comes and how it comes is our decisions. You can mix these two, put in a tube child. You can use a surrogate mother. Those are your decisions. In other words, the product is from God, but it's stolen. You see? So when it comes to rape, absolutely God is not ordering that. He has never said that in any book, in anywhere. This is such a fallacy. Fallacious is this idea. It's like the fellow is thanking God every day for the millions of dollars and monies that he gets. And God tells him, you son of a bitch, when did I give this money to you that you're thanking me for it? Go thank Satan. I didn't tell you to make this money this way. You've cheated all the people. To have the money and you're thanking me, I've given it to you as if I have not given it to the other people. Gave it to you, I've never given anything of that to you. Don't thank me. We have to understand what the plan of God is and what's our interference with it. Rape is an anomaly. It's a decision of mankind to displace something. Child is supposed to be born in this, the womb of this mother by this man, but something else happens. That child is displaced. Should it be killed or not to be killed? This is absolutely the decisions of the person who's carrying that child. Only she knows. If she hates this child, then she has to answer to her God. Where we stand as a Baha'is, we are not agreeing with abortion at any circumstances. But if the mother, for whatever reason she has, does not want it, it's her decisions. Good or bad, we don't know. It's up to God to decide it. A lot of things that is wrong, but people do it. We are not in a position to admonish a person to do the right things or the wrong things. Therefore, we cannot push people, admonish them, force them. That's really worse, that they should do these good things. It's up to them. If they don't see this good, get rid of it. Potential human being. A being is also a human being. Every cell is a human being. Everything in this universe materially is potentially a human being at different stages. Foods, they're all babies. You put them together, they become food. You eat the food, you create sperm. You grow up, the same food turns into a sperm. So defining what the life is up to individuals. But something that formulates in the womb of a mother to be a child should not be aborted. That's what God stands. But there's a lot of things involved. If the child is going to get AIDS, because the person had AIDS, what about the right of unborn? Let universal laws of justice to decide about those as it comes in the future, what these things are. Anyway, but the word Murdoch says, and Ahmadinejad says, and some of my friend Jehovah's Witnesses say, they don't want to do blood transfusions. Or Mormon says, they are the same. This is a bad program. Once it's installed of somebody's character and he works based on that, according to that, the person looks weird. Let's see, I see this man, give you an example right now. He's a great guy. He helps a lot of people. He's a great economist. He has achieved a lot of, physical things in the world. Good person, good Samaritan. A lot of people in society, they like him. Everything is good. Now I tell him that, Joe Citizen, what's the source, of this knowledge, insight, and everything you have? He says, oh, I learned it from Alice in Wonderland. I tell him, I beg your pardon? He says, yeah, Alice in Wonderland. And he keeps saying that. I'm saying, sir, Alice in Wonderland, it's a story. It's not real. I said, no, it is real. I've been there in Wonderland with Alice. What do I think of this guy? I think he's delusional. He's crazy. He's sick. I definitely think he has a problem when he says that. So I'm looking at all these good things that he's done. Or when he talks about physics and chemistry, everything makes sense. But all of a sudden, the source of all this is Alice in Wonderland. This is what's happening when Mitt Romney seems weird. Because all the real things that he has done in his life, raising good children, for God's sake, healthy family, he doesn't engage in adultery, in drinking, none of these things. But tell him about the source. He says Joseph Smith. Where's the source? Oh, Joseph Smith. This guy saw God in the jungle, in the forest, and asked questions. And God said, oh, ask my son, Jesus. And then Jesus says, oh, go ask Mormon. Mormon sends him to Moroni. I'm saying, sir, these things are not real. This doesn't go with what you've done, what you want even. The background philosophy is seriously in flaw with what you want to do. That's why the poor guy looks weird. Obama is not like that. I'll tell you what he is later on. This man has studied American history, I bet you, from the beginning right to now. He has studied every case, every court, every problem. He's so thorough with the politics in America. And man, with the politics in the world even. And that is his source. He doesn't claim he's a great Christians or Muslims or anything. He just basically accepts all the religions. He believes in God generally. But he doesn't have Bible installed in his head. Or Quran or any religion. He's a scientific, reasonable, logical individual whose Bible is probably the Constitution of the United States of America and the whole history that goes with it. Of course his character is balanced, it's feasible, it's understandable. When he says something, it emanates directly in the frequency of the public. But Mitt Romney is holding back the personal beliefs that he has. He does not reveal it, what he thinks, where the sources are. If somebody reads Mormonism, something that they don't say to people, say, oh, probably every Mormon should be given a planet where the human being, like a slave, has to work under them. The poor guy probably was thinking that, okay, this is the planet Earth, I am the Mormon, I am the angel, I'm going to get it, and they all become my slave. It didn't work, though. He was in the wrong planet, wrong country. That's what Shobi Effendi says. It says private characters manifest itself in a manifold directions. You think you can go and do adultery and a lot of things personally at home and then tomorrow go talk about God and everything else as if those things that you're doing are hidden from the people? It's not. They don't believe you. You can talk. Surely anybody who believes you must be stupid. They were not going to be your good soldiers anyways. Stupefying them. So private characters of an individual, his beliefs, his lack of beliefs, his knowing, his not knowing, the things he does, it will show itself out. That's what happens with Mitt Romney. His characters would not click into people. The frequencies they would not receive. There's two types of language. One is the word, and then there's understanding. I've seen people are speaking English for hours, nobody understands anybody. Somebody else says something, they don't talk very long. They both understand each other. They might disagree with each other, but they understand where they understand. Because the frequency of understanding is the same. Those private and personal beliefs of Mr. Romney, who's a good man, did interfere with the signal he was sending to people. He looked like a Manchurian candidate. Which he's not actually. But it's very hard. You have to have a high understanding to know that this guy is actually honest. He's actually a little kid. But how many people have the insight and discernment, or they're supposed to have it? That's a big task. Anyways, I spoke to you about this issue, so to know that although we Baha'is do not interfere in politics, but we're not stupid. We exactly know what's happening in the planet. As the politicians such as Barack Obama and other presidents, they have taken one region of the earth. Baha'u'llah's collective is an entire planet, and whoever is connected to him, subscribe to him being the internet, such person, his discernment his insight, his understanding is way higher than any regional, any national. Such as many true Baha'i scholars. God be with you. I'm going to be talking about 2 other topics on this. I'm going to surprise you by telling you that Barack Obama was selected by the Republican. This is not a conspiracy theory. And what made, in detail, the Republican Party to fail.